In today's episode of TPJ Discussion, is Six Flags buying Cedar fair? Okay, so hello there everyone and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Now, this has really taken me by surprise. Do I really think that Six Flags is buying Cedar Fair? I don't. However, I feel like I need to make a video on it. I mean, it went from a small rumour, it's now been all over the news, and it still is, even though this happened over a day ago. Hundreds of people have made YouTube videos about it, so I feel like I need to as well and just talk about it and give my opinion on this. I mean, this is really big. Six Flags potentially wanting to buy Cedar Fair, and Cedar Fair actually considering this offer and looking into it, which it seems is what's going on. Oh wow. So I think there are some pros and cons to this. I don't think it should happen, and the cons completely outweigh, any good reasons for this. However, there could be some other benefits in terms of helping some of the smaller parks that we'll talk about in a bit. The first thing is just how close to each other some of these competing parks are. I mean, look at this, Dorney Park and Six Flags Great Adventure. They would now own two parks with an hour and 40 minutes from each other that are competing, trying to get the same customers to go to the park. Again with California's Great America and Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, it just doesn't work for a lot of places in my opinion. I mean, two big theme parks less than 2 hours away from each other, owned by the same company, going for the same kind of target audience, thrill seekers. It just doesn't make sense. And I just don't think that they thought this through, and I don't think that it would really work at all. Now, there are some pros to this, and that being that some of these smaller parks will get some attention that we're going to talk about in a minute. But firstly, here is a map of all the Six Flags parks. Now, Six Flags own more parks than Cedar Fair. They own a lot. But however, not all of them they do own. For example, Darien Lake, Frontier City, they are the newest additions to the chain. However, they haven't bought them. They just own the rights to run the parks. So Six Flags haven't been buying parks. They've just been slapping the name on them basically in the cheapest possible way. Now, if we just cut to Cedar Fair now and have a look at them, their parks, a lot of them are in very similar locations to where Six Flags are. Again, they're competing against each other. However, there are a few places that don't have Six Flags parks that, could have for them. For example, Valley Fair up in Minnesota. Now, there are no Six Flags parks up in that area. That would be a huge help to Six Flags to have a presence in that area. And Valley Fair isn't a bad park at all, but it's just being completely abused by the company. The same with Michigan's Adventure as well. However, I doubt they're going to sell that. The reason being, I don't think they're going to sell Michigan's Adventure because they've just added a Planet Snoopy section to the park, and this is another reason why it wouldn't work. Six Flags use the DC Comics, the superheroes. Cedar Fair use Planet Snoopy. Now, they'd have to do a lot of rebranding of all the stuff there to make it work, and I don't think it would work. I mean, at the end of the day, Michigan's Adventure are getting the first new edition in years. I mean, in the last 10 years, it's been over 10 years since they got a new roller coaster, and that was a relocated Vekoma SLC, the standard layout ones as well. And the only thing they've got in the last 10 years is a bloody petting zoo. So I don't think we can really get our hopes up about the way Cedar Fair's running the park. But after years, they have just now added a Planet Snoopy area. Now, a Planet Snoopy area is Cedar Fair orientated, and that's coming next year, meaning that clearly this isn't something that's being planned between the two companies, and it's not something they're preparing to do. Because would Cedar Fair really be putting Planet Snoopy areas into their parks when they know if they're selling them to Six Flags, they'll just rip them out straight away. I don't think they would. So I think that this is literally the first they've heard about this, and Six Flags have just made the offer. So, as I talked about there, the only few pros to this is the fact that some of the smaller parks that have been abused by the Cedar Fair chain could finally get some attention. Now let's talk about the bigger Cedar Fair parks, like Magnum XL 200 and Cedar Point. What you're watching now on screen, just something to watch while I'm talking. And also places like Canada's Wonderland, Carowinds, Kings Island and Kings Dominion. Now I just do not think that they would work under Six Flags ownership. Why? Because let's think about it. They're starting to go down the themed route. Six Flags don't do theming, and Six Flags just slap the superhero names and everything. So for example, Copperhead Strike, that wouldn't work with Six Flags. It'd be renamed to something superhero related. I mean, it just wouldn't feel right in my opinion, and I'm just not sure they'd be capable of running parks of that size efficiently, like the operations and all that, and kind of the crowds that they get there. Another thing is that we'd never see any big additions again. We can say bye-bye to any more Giga Coasters, which I think we will be doing anyway now because all the big parks have got Giga Coasters. But any other stuff like dive coasters, wing coasters, any big coasters, we can say goodbye to them, and they'll start getting rides like S&S 4D Free Fly coasters. So I think that is a big problem. I mean, imagine Six Flags running Cedar Point. It just wouldn't work. They'd rename the newly done up Cedar Point Shores to Hurricane Harbour. It just wouldn't feel right, and I just don't think they'd make a success of it. I just don't think people would like it at all. Now, I can think of one other alternative, is that they've got this all wrong, and Six Flags are simply having a chat with Cedar Fair about picking up a couple of their parks, which could make more sense, because one way, Six Flags might actually be able to afford it rather than them being absolutely no way they'd be able to pay that amount of money. And, you know, alright, they've not been buying new parks, but Six Flags are clearly looking to expand their name around the country. So, what parks could they look into buying? Well, I think firstly, their big 5 Cedar Fair parks are protected. I do not think there is any way on God's earth that Cedar Fair are going to flog Cedar Point off, or Kings Island, or Kings Dominion, or Carowinds, or Canada's Wonderland. There is absolutely no way that they're going anywhere. However, parks such as Valley Fair, now that could be perfect. As I was saying earlier, there's no other parks in that area, especially Six Flags parks, and they're looking for people to sign up for the monthly membership that Six Flags have started doing. Now, people in that area are now much more tempted to join in on it, and it just expands their name across the country. Valley Fair is a good park. You know, it doesn't need any kind of, you know, massive coasters. It's never going to get that. However, under Six Flags, it will definitely get more than what it's currently getting, and could get some nice bits such as an S&S 4D Free Fly and maybe an S&S launch coaster in the future. That would be a real positive for Valley Fair, and I do think they could make it work with that park. Other than that, I can't really see many other alternatives. Michigan's Adventure would be good for them. However, with the new Planet Snoopy area that they've just added, I doubt that will happen. So there we go then, that is just some of my thoughts on it. I doubt this will happen. However, a couple of parks being sold, like Valley Fair, might actually do them some good. So, thank you very much for watching today's video. I know it hasn't really been very scripted, I just did want to give some of my kind of unscripted thoughts to it, and just a bit of opinion time really. That's what I want these discussion series just to be. You know, just some of my thoughts, let's have a conversation about it, and just give my opinion really on some different subjects that are going on in the theme park world. So thank you very much for watching then. Please do make sure to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThemeParkJack, and check out my blog themeparkjack.com. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.